to thank all you guys for coming out. This is definitely going to be a great show.
How do I say that going into a dark club that fits 50 people and has 100 people in it, and you see it in some crazy tattooed band up there yelling and screaming, kids tackling the singer, how can you explain it as being fun unless you understand that it is fun? Unless you've seen a show, it's hard to understand what it's all about.
It was the only music scene that spoke to me as a teenager because I felt like I didn't belong in the hippie, the long-haired scene of the late 70s. And I didn't really fit in with the surfers in Southern California at the time. And so it was basically a scene of misfits, a scene of creative people, energetic people who didn't really get along with the popular trends of the time.
I think punk and hardcore have the same community. The same kids will go out to a show regardless of who it is, just to see, just to be there, be part of the scene. I think that's what misses out in a lot of other music is there's no scene to it. We can go anywhere across the country and play and there'll always be kids there. And I think that's what they share is not musically or stylistically, but the same like rabid fan bases.
There's no distance between the musicians and the audience. They're the same people. And the people that put together the shows know you, and the people that play know you, and it's just like a more interconnected scene.
It's good to be around people that know what you're into, It's a gathering, without a doubt. It's not just a band, it's not a concert, It's a show, that's the difference. You go to a show, you get to sing on the mic, you get to, jump around. You get to actually talk to the guy outside right before he goes on stage.
It's a real closeness, you meet a lot of people that way. It's definitely like a tight family circle. It's real cool.
Going to shows has always been like an extended family, because you always had the kids in school that you probably never really liked, and the reason you got into hardcore punk rock was it was a form of just rebelling against those kids and saying, well, you know what, I'm not like you, I don't really have those values, I'm tired of trying to keep up with the fashions just to be cool and be down. So you get away from those kids and get involved in hardcore.
If you're seeing a show at your home base and you know a million kids there, you feel a lot more relaxed. Sometimes you go out and you see a show in a place where you don't go often or another city and you don't know what's going to happen and maybe you're a little nervous. Feel like, big burly skinheads getting ready to kick your ass.
The band plugs in, they rock, everybody comes in and they do what they want.
They do what they fucking want.
Exactly, my man.
Thank you. That's chaos. There should be a feeling of chaos. You should be scared at a show.
Like a magic kiss.
Many people came to the show.
Basically, a good show for us is one that the audience can feel how we feel when we're playing.
Right.
Lots of energy, and if they can get the real point, you know, if we can get it across them, you can tell which shows.
A good show doesn't take any work. A good show happens, and it's like, you know, sometimes you're up there, and if the crowd isn't necessarily, you know, coming along for the fun or whatever, you feel like you're like entertaining people, like you're up there da 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 da
with all the special lights and all that, you know.
But a real good show is when everyone's having as much fun, like he said, as we are, and it takes the pressure off us. I don't really feel like I have to like entertain people. I feel like everyone is being entertained by the entire moment of it.
We definitely work off the crowd.
Are you punk rock because you're in the clique, or are you punk rock because nobody likes you?
The
Punk
ethics
rock
of it, there's the music, there's the live shows, there's
unlike
the theories.
unlike a lot of people's opinion, punk rock to me is a lack of rules. Punk rock to me is doing what you feel as a person, contrary to popular trends or social placement. You know, punk rock to me could be anything.
When like straight classic rock and roll got to be really boring and dull, like in the 70s, people decided to strip it back down and make it mean something, and make it fast and angry again, rather than boring and for a bunch of like, you know, just dull slobs. And I think hardcore evolved from that same evolution. Like people started pushing punk rock even more. You know, it became less like rock and roll based and more angry and more aggressive, and it's still getting pushed today. People just keep expanding the parameters of what you could call hardcore, what you could call, you know, punk rock. It just comes from people tired of stagnation and just constantly, you know, seeing a constant evolution of the music form.
Que si hablamos español. Latinos aquí. Esta canción se llama Set It Off.
I've seen a lot of changes from the time when I was introduced to the scene till now. I mean, you know, fashion-wise, attitude-wise, I mean, there's always some kind of changing going on in any scene, pretty much, you know.
That's the weird thing about like hardcore, like in 1996. It's like gone. It's taken like a lot of different paths and a lot of different terms. I mean, like what I always thought is like originally hardcore was just like kind of like Americanized punk rock a little bit more. Like the American kids saw like what was going on in England and said we'll start our bands, and like kind of started like a music that we called hardcore, just played a little more fast and a little less like rock and rolly, a little more aggressively.
Yeah, the scene has just lost its punk edge. You know what I mean? Like, it's still, even when hardcore just began in the late 80s. Because before then, when I first got into it, there was no hardcore. Just everything was all punk. You know, you just like a bunch of hardcore punks. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you got into the skinhead vibe, but it's just like, it wasn't until the late 80s there was even hardcore. And now it's gotten more and more. So like, the whole punkness is gone.
The word hardcore to me is just, it came out of like, it's just an adjective for extreme punk rock. You know, like
to the core, straight
hardcore
from here,
punk
you know what I
rock.
mean?
You know what I
To
mean?
the next level of the
And people are going to be even more put off by that. They say, oh, this guy's a punk, but this guy's an extreme punk. He's a hardcore punk. You know what I mean? And so right away, that gives these people this negative imagery, and when actually, it's actually an evolved art.
Yeah, big man out. We're all Milwaukee!
These kids forget that that's what this is. They don't realize that hardcore is, you know, a branch of punk rock. I mean, you can't fight it. That's what, you know, it started here in New York City, you know. I mean, punk started here and it went, you know, through all its different changes. And this is, you know, this is like one of its final underground resting places is hardcore, you know, where Rancid's like on the charts and stuff. This is your really only underground subculture part of punk rock that's left. It's gone to so many different things. Metallica, you know, when they first started, they were punk compared to Iron Maiden. You know, punk has influenced so many other types of music, and the kids forget that this is part of that punk rock movement.
Let's show something good on TV. First, you gotta call a club and say, hey, I'm cool. Give me a day and I'll give you a show and bring in lots of kids and promote your club. And then they say, okay, we think you're cool. So they give you a day, and then you think of what kind of show you want. From there, you find 3 or 4 bands, maybe 5, and you call them. You guys done mastering yet?
No.
No? All right, well, here's the deal. Okay, November 22nd, I have a date at Cheers. If it's done, then we'll do your EP release with you and whatever bands you want. But if it's not, I want you to play with Quit and the agency and probably one more band.
When?
On the 22nd, if it's not going to be your EP.
Okay.
So I need to know. Well, who would you want to play with for your release?
I think we were talking about Quit and Ed Matus.
Okay, so why don't I just do that, and if it's your release, then it's your release.
Okay.
Okay. Then you wait about a week for them to call you back, and they give you the big runaround of, yeah, we'll call you back. And they finally call you back and say yes. And then call the club, tell them everything's cool. And then you make flyers as soon as you know, and then you flyer till the day of your show. It's very important to me because it's the first 7-inch out on my label. It's the first anything out on my label. And I've been busting my ass for it. And nobody really realizes that except for me and the band. But they'll see. All those times I had to leave school early to go to the bank or to go to the post office, it'll all pay off. So, and the 22nd's a big day. Big show, big release. I have to make flyers today because it's a big show tonight. Off to Office Depot to steal paper. Mission, steal as much from you can from the man. It's officially November 22nd, the big day, and I just spent the past 2 hours putting together 207 inches for tonight. This is the cover, and this is the back. This is for the Vacant Andes. This is the inside, and like, here they thanked all the special people, especially me. Amy kicking the door fiddler, all right. And these are the bags, and this is as pretty as they get, right there. Gold vinyl, baby. Oh yeah.
It's yellow. Where are the numbers? They're on the 8 side. Find me 138.
138?
I love this. It's like anything like
I was happy about 5 hours ago because I was in a good mood because I thought everybody's going to show up, but only about, I guess, a third of the people I thought were going to show up actually showed up, which made it a small show, which is, it's really good for like atmosphere and feeling, but it sucks really hard when you only can pay the band so much because you have to pay yourself back for flyers. And that's what really sucks about doing this. But the 7-inch sold really, really well, which is good. So I should be happy about that.
One of the good things that punk and hardcore have in common is the fact that so much of the performance is just purely emotional, that you don't really need to be a technical wizard when it comes to playing the guitar or playing the drums or singing or anything like that. It's more just purely emotional, and I think that gives the music a certain quality that a lot of mainstream stuff doesn't have.
Just can't seem to hold it together, and we continue to go on with the charade of being individual.
There's a verifiable emotional relationship between all the people who come to our shows, and I think who make up the punk scene. And I think that people who are closed off to their emotions don't like this kind of music as much.
Yeah, and make sure that the kids in the crowd or whoever's there is having fun too, and tries to leave with a smile on their face. And maybe they might have come in not so happy, or maybe they had a different kind of attitude, or a little bit, I don't know, mean, whatever. I'd rather they left like with a smile and in a better mood and not wanting to kill somebody.
It's important, I mean, personally speaking, that people leave feeling like lifted, from a show. To me, that's important. So that's the reason why I would go. Feel better than I did going in,
Sometimes you go for the band, but I think like the reason that most people go to the punk rock shows is to the social scene, like to meet people and hang out and just like have fun and like communicate and dig good music and stuff,
Try to make it as friendly as possible.
Try to make it friendly and as fun as possible. A lot of people think that because of the aggression in our music, and we don't have very much harmonies and stuff in our music, that, they're not up front, they're just total release of aggression. But we try to make it fun. It's like a different kind of fun. It's not like, our kind of fun is like when we were kids. We used to run around and go through the garbage and find TVs and smash them. That was it. Neon lights, boom. That's our kind of fun. It's not mean, doesn't hurt anybody, but it's really, it's fun. Come on, smash something. You'll like it.
The kind of music we play, I seem to be able to get a lot more into it if there's something making me angry. If I can use, I guess it's more coming from the other way around. If I can use the music to get at something that I'm angry about and alleviate it, then that's the best.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I don't like try to psych myself up to get all pissed off before we go play. Usually I'll just go play, and I usually start out with a pretty good attitude, and usually the music changes the way I'm feeling at the time, as opposed to me like getting all pissed off and going and playing and trying to portray that through the music, I guess. So I don't know, I guess the music, it moves me towards more of an angry, dark feel. And then sometimes, there have been nights where we've gone up on stage and it's been like almost silly. As silly as we can get, in the kind of band that we're in.
We act like kind of silly on stage to try to influence people, like to not try to be so cool during the show. Like when you're cool, you're always worrying about what people are thinking about you and stuff. We try to get the people to just like, who cares? Do anything. Dance like a goof, pour soda on your head, do anything, Do what you like.
We try not to take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah, we don't ask that anybody takes us too seriously.
And it's weird because you'll play to with a Solstice or Earth Crisis, and you'll have these kids beating the crap at each other, and then we'll play and they'll dance around, and then Sheer Tail will come on and they'll go back to beating the crap at each other. It's really weird.
Yeah, we play these big hardcore shows.
We play to so many different kind of crowds and have the same reaction. It's really a bizarre thing.
That's funny.
We're kind of successful at it for some reason.
I enjoy it.
The reason a lot of musicians play music is because it's like the 1 hour during a day when you just forget every little bullshit problem, any any worry you have, and it's just pure, just enjoyment. You know, you have no thoughts about anything else except doing what you're doing at that time. And that's one of the main reasons I keep doing it, is because as soon as I stop playing, I'm like, when do I get to play again and forget about all this other crap, you know?
You got 1 hour a day. That's it.
It's a way to constantly, continually reinvent yourself in front of a whole bunch of people and kind of shake yourself out of your own existence. It really doesn't have, it has to do with the audience only in that there's sort of a give and take of energy. When I'm performing with an audience, I'm always performing to them and feeding off, being a parasite almost on their energy. And then hopefully they do the same thing to me, but I'm basically always trying to just shake myself out of myself.
When we feel comfortable with the crowd, when the crowd knows our songs or like appreciates what we're doing on stage, feedback definitely gives us more output. Definitely. Yeah, when the kids are just standing there like watching you, there's not that many of them, you kind of, you know.
They freeze up a little.
Hardcore's a very input-output type scene. What they give, you put out. That's it, right? That's it.
We do our best to do what we do and try to interact and, you know, have fun. Sometimes, I don't know if it was the language barrier. We just came from Europe. I don't know if it was the language barrier or if people in Germany are just really like stiff and uptight and don't have a sense of humor. But there's a lot of like he said, like we're on stage like, and they're like, they just stand there.
What the fuck's going on? This song is called No Rules.
Sometimes I feel like I'm in a box, I'm the monkey, and I open the box and the monkey comes out, and then you're out, and it's like you're just like a
That was in
retarded,
Germany mostly.
retarded entertainer, you know. Like other times you feel like it's a different show
Connecting with
every
people.
night.
It's like for me, it's like
Sometimes you're fucked up, sometimes you're sober.
You know, whether there's like 15 people or 50 or 500, it's always the same thing for me every night. You know, it's a release, so I go off just the same. Yeah, it's definitely fun when there's a realistic, like, interaction. You know, when there's that energy, when kids are getting the same thing out of it that we are.
It's like going off. You know what I mean? It's like being like 15 years old and dancing in the pit. It's like the same thing as playing on stage. You know, you just give it everything you have.
We go, yeah. We end up sweatier than the kids in the audience. I mean, we like, exactly. It's a total extension.
Yeah, most of the time you just give it everything you have. Most of the time we give it more than, you know, kids do. That's why a lot of times people stand there and look at us, don't know what the fuck's wrong with us.
We're going,
like everything.
there just looking at us.
1,000%.
Hey, how's it going? Hi. Oh, sorry. We're Good Riddance. We're from Santa Cruz, California. Thanks for coming out.
I'm a really introverted, quiet person normally, and it's the one time where I'm extroverted.
When the audience is up close, like the show tonight,
you could just feel the energy off the people. Makes us go off more, they go off more.
Definitely, it's a release for me because a lot of the things that we sing about, a lot of them are really personal. It's a way of expressing a lot of feelings, and it's also a way of releasing a lot of anger, tension. I think half of it's releasing, getting your feelings out. And a lot of the other half is just releasing the frustrations of, being on the road is kind of tedious. You don't really have to do absolutely nothing for 23 hours of the day, and then 1 hour a day you're doing something, and that you have to make it count.
The thing about this band, the Goops particularly, is we're kind of pretty easygoing people. We don't really take much too seriously, but we really like to play, and it's like just it's more of like an extension of like what's going on off the stage, like that. You see? And it's just like do me a favor.
Hey!
Go kill that
Hey,
kid.
shut up!
It's an extension of what's going on every day. It's just that when you're on stage, it's like you can really let loose and just like let anything happen. Hey, no, you shut up! I'll kick that kid's ass right now.
Everybody's so approachable, like bands and kids and, guys that do zines or put records out, the labels, everybody is so much closer knit than in any other, I think, music.
Yeah. There's no star gap between like the participants and the consumer.
Perfect hardcore world.
I mean, there's
definitely
a little star.
Some people create one.
Well, a club like this, there's like a barrier between the stage and the kids, but your average like DIY basement show, it's not like there's so much separation that you feel kind of like intimidated to talk to somebody from a band that you like.
But tonight we're playing in a 1,000 capacity club with some crappy thing in front of the stage. But tomorrow afternoon we're playing in a basement in New Brunswick.
It doesn't cost us any money. We don't lose any money. So we were able to do shows really cheap, pay the bands really well, and have an environment that was friendly for everybody. Like, we've been doing this for close to 4 years.
Before that, there was another house somewhere in Jersey that people... Yeah, I think it was around the corner.
174.
Something
We used
like
to have
that.
shows. The Bouncing Souls lived there.
Yeah.
And when we pulled up today, we saw the landlord, and our friend Maddie used to live there. He goes, "Oh shit, we still owe that guy money." But here, they would have shows for small bands, big bands, whatever, and it was good because kids could come to see a show where there's, we play a lot of shows, and because of, I guess, the popularity is that we play bigger clubs and all that, and there's bouncers, there's security, there's insurance and all that. Here, kids can just come, have a great time. They can dance if they want. They can just stand around and watch.
We opened our house to people because we figured, they were trustworthy and it was a good thing to do. And in the course of those 4 years, we've had a lot of good bands play here. It actually became a spot where bands wanted to stop and play, as opposed to where we had to get on the phone and beg and plead and make ridiculous promises. So it started out with 5 guys, and then we took over the whole house, and there were 10 of us. So, we sort of had a built-in working crew. All the equipment was all ours. We built it, or, we stole it, whatever. So, it's worked out really well. This is our last show, because after all this time, we've gotten sick of each other, and we're moving on until we're sort of breaking up. We're going to keep doing shows, just not here.
The man is here. The show is over. Thank you. Good night.
Brian!
You can all say you were here for the last show, and there were 200 fucking people standing outside who were too stupid to fucking listen to a word of fucking wisdom.
Bad enough. Just go home now.
Thanks for coming out.
You got to think about this shit, all right? It's not just us. There's other guys doing shows down the street, and this shit is cool, and this shit is for you, okay? Now, we have done this for 3 years. This is the first time we've ever been shut down by the cops, okay? And it's going to be the last time, obviously. I'm a little bit upset right now because we haven't asked for much.
We were geared towards doing this with a sense of community, as opposed to doing it with just, for the idea of making money or for getting the cool bands. We've done bands that no one's ever heard of,
and no one will ever hear of again in this part of the country, you know. But they were coming through and they needed a place, so you know, it was like, it was for the music and not for the fashion and not for the, you know, like the scene points or the status, you know. And
we do this stuff because we love it. You know, it shows no fucking respect for your own fucking good to not listen when somebody's asking you something smart, you know, and that's it. Whatever. I'm gonna fucking shut up now. Thanks for coming, though.
I don't like playing on a stage. I hate there being some sort of like fucking rock star light show. The best shows we have are we play in someone's basement. When we're on the ground and there is no stage, because that's what we're about. That way people can't hide from you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, you're face to face, like mouth to ear, fucking screaming in somebody's face and they got no place to go.
Yeah. We played Lawrence, Kansas, and people were behind us. It was on the ground, a small little place. Kids packed, they're like knocking us over. But Nathan's singing, kids are dancing behind him, knocking us up, me over, Dean over. It was awesome.
That's how it should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I wish every show was like that.
Everything like band and audience is just like
It's
all
like
one
everyone's
big,
all together, just
show, you know.
It's awesome.
And that's what hardcore is about. That's what punk rock, when it started, was all about. Is there being no walls, being no boundaries.
It's a lot tighter crowd. It's more of a family, you know. You could actually get on the stage, you could sing along, you could dive off the stage, you could do what you want. It's not a fucking 30-foot barrier in between you and the people that are on the stage, treating them like they're some kind of rock stars or some kind of gods that you can't get near.
When they're playing in a stadium, it takes away the whole purpose of just hardcore punk, whatever, because when they play in little clubs, you're there, you're close to the stage, you can grab the microphone, it's like personal, but when they're in a stadium, then it takes it all away. There's no point. It doesn't even like, there's just...
What's the purpose?
To be close to the band, to be like personal, like, you know, like you're involved.
It's a lot harder to play to a barrier and like some big security guard's back than it is to like, you know, some 16-year-old kid that's like spitting at you and having fun, you know? I don't know. It just depends.
When you play on a big stage in front of a lot of people, it feels like you're entertaining somebody. You know what I mean? Instead of like
people hanging out with you
instead of interacting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As far as comparing the two, clubs are definitely way better. Shows at clubs, you're up, you're one of the group. You're up there singing along, they're down there on the pit there with you. It's all one. Stadiums are a bunch of bullshit.
I don't understand how someone can pay $35 to sit in the seat for the whole time and listen to some band that they should be up fucking windmilling to. Doesn't make any sense to me. If you can't fucking do a kung fu kick while you're watching your band, that doesn't make any sense. You know, I mean, general admission shows are the only way to go. I can't see seeing sick of it all at Giant Stadium. I beat the shit out of the guy next to me.
Small ones are better because it's so much more intimate.
You get to hang out with
It's
people.
kind of like a big. We don't take it too serious. We like joke around so much because it's a little ridiculous to us to be like, you know, we're these four guys who were just like screaming in our basement years ago, and all of a sudden you're playing in front of 20,000 people who just jump up and down to every song.
Yeah. Both sides shows, you know, small places, huge things are great.
The first week and a half of our tour, it was all like stadiums and stuff, and it's good. I think I liked it because you get like this great sound system where you could hear everything perfectly, a lot of room to run around on stage, a lot of energy with people. But then, you know, we played a little club show with like 400 kids, and we missed it, you know, just like the sweat and the people being right, and the personality. But I like the balance, you know, when we tour, I'd like to do like big shows and small shows. I like the balance. It helps us grow as a band, you know, and I think a lot of bands would probably feel the same way.
Give me a comb. You get a comb? Everyone will be miserable. Give me a comb. We haven't played in. Give me a comb. Get a comb? Yeah, he's right.
To a place like this, it looks like a total non-hardcore venue. There's always a part of me that says these people are going to hate us, these people are going to throw shit at us. This is like a total pop crowd, and we're going to go out there and play hardcore, and they're going to be so annoyed. And it never happens. And I think that's a total state of the times, because when I was into hardcore, a hardcore band would not be playing this show. You know what I mean? Like
10 years ago.
Hell.
10 years ago, this show wouldn't be in this venue.
No way.
I know they hate barricades. I know they hate the bounces and the security and the rules and how to dance. They support us. That makes me happy. And kids will give us a chance and check us out. You know, and even sound the mailing list. And maybe buy the CD. They get some excited.
Yeah, it seems like more people are getting into hardcore or whatever. It's becoming a little more, how dare I say, trendy. I don't know. It seems like more people are witness to it. I mean, I've seen 2 different documentary television shows on national networks doing segments on hardcore, straight edge, or something like that.
I mean, it's hard to tell now because like all the old school New York hardcore bands are like, you know, everybody knows about them and they're huge and everything. And I wasn't really in the scene when all that was going on.
Yeah, neither was I.
But it seems like a lot of the bands, I mean, especially like some of the Victory bands, that kind of like seems to be the going hardcore label now, are getting like big, you know. I mean, getting flown to Japan and, you know, and shit like that. I mean, it amazes me, and I don't know what things were like a few years ago, but I mean, hardcore bands now are bigger than I ever remember them being. So.
It's a really weird thing because like when like bands like Riddance and Green Day first started getting big, I was just like, oh, this kind of sucks, you know, because it's like what made it always really cool was like a really small little tiny element, and like you had to like search to find it. You had to like go out of your way to like find all the cool stuff and like find shows and stuff. But I mean, now in retrospect, after this has been going on for like a year or 2 or 3 or however long it's been going on, where like punk rock is accepted as like kind of like as being a part of everything else as far as like mainstream music. I don't know, I think it's good because like just especially in Miami, because like I've met like more cool, inspired and smart and bright kids doing things like realizing like, cool, I can change my life doing this, you know, I can like go out and do things that like are important, that like make me happy in my life. I've met like more kids like that, which I think they got into it just based on the fact that like it was accessible, and then they saw it and then they dug deeper and found like the real stuff, like places like this. And so I don't know, it's really hard to say. It's like it's really weird to see like something that you always considered like to be a real cult thing, like suddenly like really big.
People get very possessive, you know, like it took them, they had to get, you know, they had to pick up a fanzine and they had to send off for this magazine to hear about this band. But now any kid sitting at home listening to his radio can hear about this band, and they get pissed off because then all of a sudden those kids are coming to the shows and they're like, yo, this used to be our club, and this used to be, you know, these kids are all whatever, dickheads, and it's like, well, then how can, you know, did you really give a fuck about who knows what, you know, it's like, and it's like, it's, again, yeah, it kind of sucks when you go to see a band you used to really like, but now most of the kids there look like kids who watch MTV, but if the band's still the same, you know, it's just part of the band growing, you know, it can't stay small to, you know, the inconvenience of everybody else.
There's basically 2 aspects to look at with punk becoming as big as it is right now. There's the negative side, which is that a bunch of people that have no idea what punk is about are into it now, and you see a bunch of people at shows that go there just because they think being in a pit's cool, and they try and beat up on other people and, you know, let out their aggressions like that. But there's also a very positive side of punk being big, which is, you know, punk is great music, and it's very accessible to a lot of different people, and I think that, you know, with Green Day and Offspring getting as large as they have, it's opened up a lot of people's minds that would never be exposed to that kind of music. And I don't adhere to the mentality of people that think that punk should just be this little secret thing that only a select group of really, you know, hardcore people can be exposed to. It's great music, and, you know, there's a lot of positive sides to it, and it's got great energy.
I think the mainstream came to the music.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
They
look at the
made,
bands that
like-
made it big. Green Day, Offspring, Rancid. They never changed their sound.
Everyone just came to them.
Fans came to them.
There's just so many people being influenced and being exposed to alternative types of music. I mean, when we started out on this thing, you know, you got to remember, we've been around, huh? It's like, when we started out, it was really a subculture, you know? It was a dangerous underground thing that most people were intimidated by. So for us to be able to go out now, and it's like a whole different world, you know? It's all, let's face it, it's turned inside out now. It's the mainstream, you know? All those bands that were mainstream, they're all history now. No one cares about that shit anymore, and everything that we've worked toward is now mainstream, which, you know, a lot of people might think that that's diluting the scene, and in a way, I guess it does. I mean, obviously, there's going to be ways that certain bands will sort of water things down and become more generic versions of whatever the message is, you know, the broad spectrum of. But really, it just means, you know, a bigger army, you know. There's just more outlets to get your point across now.
I don't want to seem like the old guy, but back in the day, when you used to go to a show, there's always like an element of danger. There's always like the fights ready to happen. And now they're not complaining. They're just saying that there doesn't seem to be as many fights as there used to be. Like, I don't know, I miss it in a way and I don't.
It used to be common etiquette not to bump into people around you, but with the punk scene, we didn't really care about etiquette, so it didn't matter if you smashed into the guy next to you. And that's really how it started. You know, with people just jumping around and not worrying about who they jumped into.
We used to be like the go to see suicidal tendencies and just, or gangrene, just beat the shit out of everybody or get the shit beaten out by everybody, but. What? Jerry, he was a total stunt. He had the big gorilla biscuit swing, like back in the big straight edge lawnmower days. And we got videos of him practicing moshing in his room. No.
When I was a kid, I don't dance anymore because I'm an old man, but I used to go in the pit and go all out, and it wasn't towards anybody. It wasn't. It was just a release. I left that show. I saw an amazing band, and I was physically fucking drained. I was like, drenched with sweat, sitting on a sidewalk like, oh man, that show was amazing. And I was in the best mood, and you did whatever. You went to a friend's house or went to a party.
You just see these kids all angry, singing lyrics and beating the hell out of one another. But you don't know that those kids are all friends, and after the show, they're all going out to eat, talking about, oh, remember when you hit me there, and oh, yeah, look at this black and blue you gave me. But it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing you have to worry about. It's positive. It's a friendship level that they're on.
Next time, instead of watching Top 4 News, come down to his show and see what it's about. And then, you know, I mean, what, Jack Cafferty's going to tell me what's going on at a hardcore show? I mean, what the fuck is that? You know, he doesn't know what's going on. He heard some kid broke his neck, so he thinks that at every show someone breaks their neck. Although I do think there is a bit of unnecessary violence, or possibly a good deal of unnecessary violence. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. When you have people who want to express their feelings towards a band and they're up there and they're going at it, it's going to happen. Eventually, someone's going to fucking smack the wrong guy and there's going to be a fight. But if you're in there and if you're working and you're moving and you're swinging and you're kicking, you know, I mean, you better, you know, if someone hits you, you better be ready for it. I mean, don't be in there if you don't want to get hit.
Hardcore is basically not like bumping into each other, it's making your own room. Ska and punk is basically about bumping into people and like dancing and stuff, you know, with other people, but the mosh pits are like, I guess, different from every scene, because if you go to a show where there's metal mix, they dance crazy to me, like stage dive feet first. You don't want someone kicking you in the head and stuff.
Yeah, you really can't play aggressive music and delude yourself into thinking that no one's going to respond aggressively. By the same token, I like to give people credit for enough intelligence and compassion to like respect the people around them too. Maybe that's naive.
It's such a thin line, you know, like you try and regulate something, you know, like trying to say what's cool and what isn't. But it's the same thing, I think in the beginning, you know, people hadn't really established a form, let's say, slamming or whatever you want to call it. And so you didn't run into so many problems. But then, you know, as people keep doing it, they start developing styles the same way, you know, any other dancing form has styles, I guess.
It's become such a show in the pit. You know, you got a lot of kids with ego problems, and they go up there, and their whole purpose is to hurt someone. And I think that's wrong. I think a lot of the dance styles is wrong. You know, I think you can go out there and you can dance. Sometimes the music really motivates you, and sometimes I see kids dancing, and it's like they're not even listening to music. They're out there to impress someone. You know, they're out there with something to prove. That always used to, man, that really irked me.
To stop playing, like, and just leave. But now it's like,
if you stop, the show's ruined anyway. It's like idiots fight. It's like they're a bunch of punks.
what are you gonna say, man? It's idiots.
Nothing you can say about that. Anyway, that fight's stupid. You know.
If they do that, that proves off to not watching the band. They just kind of dance and see each other dance and see who's tougher in the pit. Watch each other and be like, yeah, my turn now, and go in. And I just get really insulted, and I think any band should get insulted and want to stop playing. And we used to stop playing, but now we kind of have more responsibility. As far as, you know,
to the people who aren't fighting.
You know, we're drawing more people. You know, people might want to see us a little more, so they might get a little madder that we leave. So
we played in Minneapolis and a place called First Avenue, and we sold, I think it was like 400 tickets, and they gave away another 300 tickets to these people at a Weezer show the night before. So it was a packed house. And the kid, you could see who was into hardcore and who got the free tickets, and we're diving feet first onto kids' heads.
If it was a strictly hardcore audience, we wouldn't have had that problem. But it was a radio giveaway, so a whole bunch of kids that didn't know the etiquette came in and ended up hurting themselves.
There's nothing wrong with people from different scenes and different walks of life getting together, doing a hardcore show. That's all good, you know? The more things get out there and the more it's looked at in a decent light, the better it is. But if you're going to really try and dance and do this and that, and you don't know what you're doing, you might get hurt. So, you know, you got to be careful.
The idiots come and dance hard and start fights and punch people.
It's up to
and
the scene, to unite and teach the new kids it's not about slam, dude.
You don't need
by having fun.
Just behave.
Right there on.
It's all about football and shit, tackling motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
Is it not?
No.
I see too many really cool people out there getting kicked in the head, and I think it's fucked. But you know, it's like there's a good and a bad everything. If you're clever, you'll know how to mosh without hurting someone.
I think there's such a thing as conscientious slamming. You know, knowing that people behind you aren't dancing and then kicking backwards without them expecting it, or whipping your fist into their face when they're not expecting it, isn't like conscientious, you know.
As you guys might have guessed, we're Yuppicide. We have a few small favors to ask you. Feel free to sing along and do your thing. Respect each other and respect this club.
I mean, it's one of those things you can't, you know, how do you keep something rough and regulated at the same time, you know? So you just have to, you know, if people are acting out of hand, you just have to try and discipline it yourself, I guess.
Don't fucking do that shit. It's fucking wrong. You want to beat someone's ass because they fucking skank wrong or they fucking not punking up for you? Well, fuck you. Well, here's fucking wrong. Right? It's all about fucking unity, right? South Florida hardcore, yeah! What a fuckery, man. Am I more punk than you? No. We're all the same, man. Smithies! feels.
You know, everyone says, "Oh, that was the good old days." It wasn't, because there's a lot more violence than it is nowadays. The shows are better now because there's not so much violence. But the quality of the lyrics, to me, was a lot better back then. You have bands like MIA singing about the CIA in Central America. You don't have that nowadays. We sing about Reagan, like Wasted Youth sing about Reagan, and Reagan, like the Reagan years are coming, and the Republicans are getting back into power, and you don't have that nowadays. You know, you don't have bands singing about politics and shit, unless it's like a hardcore band. You know. To me, straight edge is a very positive movement. I was straight edge for over 18 years of my life. And it was at the time of my life when I needed it the most. High school and junior high was when drugs started coming into my life, and all these friends of mine were like smoking out and all this kind of stuff. And straight edge all of a sudden came in, and it was like hardcore and it's punk rock, and it's something like to really believe in. And at school, I had to worry about, you know, grades. I had to worry about, I was playing sports, my arms were longer than my body. There was girls all of a sudden. I was just all fucked up, right? And thank God I didn't get into drugs and fuck up myself even more. Life's pretty hard enough just trying to get by, and then without having drugs. So thank God for straight edge at that time, for me.
Straight edge is the reason that I became as involved as I did in the hardcore scene. The positivity expressed through straight edge is immeasurable. I think it's excellent that bands like Minor Threat, Youth of Today, Gorilla Biscuits, they gave kids kids who weren't interested in spending their Friday nights completely fucking wasted, you know, a release. And they gave them reasons why straight edge is the way to go and why fucking yourself up is not the way to go.
Straight edge is a promise you make to yourself to never drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, take illegal drugs, or be promiscuous. And the reasoning behind it is to have a clear mind and to use that clear mind to reach out to other people and do what you can and start thinking about fairness, start thinking about, you know, how to make things more just in society and the world as a whole. It's about being accountable for your actions.
Straight edge
and obviously
is not just simple abstinence from drugs and alcohol and smoking and promiscuity. It's about freedom. It's about using that freedom, that clarity of mind that we have as a vehicle for progression to make ourselves more peaceful people. And by making ourselves more peaceful people, we make the world more of a just place.
We basically ask the absolute least of people, and that's that they, you know, have a clear mind, they concern themselves with fairness, they're accountable for their actions, and that they are vegan, they are vegetarian, so that they're realistic, try and make a difference. I think militance at this point in time is absolutely necessary if you look at the situation that surrounds us. I'm a pacifist to a point, but I believe, you know, in standing up for beings that can't resist their oppressors on their own.
Don't ask this guy, dude. Just listen to my... He was straight edge like 5 minutes ago.
I'm for
It's my personal lifestyle. It's like Ian McKay was singing about something personal. You know what I mean? Everybody took it to like the total extreme. I mean, I just don't smoke, I don't drink. You know,
But you
do
never
drugs.
have.
But here's my reality. I never tried none of that shit before I even knew what Minor Threat was. You know, I'm 27 years old today. I never tried a cigarette, a joint, beer, drugs, ever. Then I found this dude singing about something I could relate to, and that's the only thing I got from it. You know, maybe he might have got me psyched to be who I was, but he didn't make me the way I am.
I was straight edge, non-stop, hardcore, until all through high school, until I graduated high school. So basically, started out in Ian McKay and ended up with Jimmy Gestapo, you know what I mean? But I think that's fine. You know, I grew out of it. I know a lot of my friends who I was in the straight edge scene with grew out of it as well, but I think if you're keeping it there and you're straight, I got no problem with you, except if you got a problem with me for what I do. As long as you respect what I do, I totally respect what you do.
Within this band, you've got a straight edge guy, you've got guys who drink and don't smoke weed.
Yeah, washed up fella.
Guys who smoke weed.
You got a 24-year-old living in a fucking 50-year-old body.
You got guys who smoke weed and don't drink.
And Baby New Year.
You've got vegetarians, vegans, meat eaters, all within this 5 people, and it doesn't make a difference to us being a band of friends. And that's the way it should be.
It seems like in the straight edge circle, people like a band just because they're straight edge. It doesn't really matter what, you know, what the music is. And I wish that people would listen to the music and listen to what, you know, I guess what they're trying to get out, and and judge it like that, because there's a lot of really cheesy straight edge bands out there, you know, that people love just because of the straight edge. And so, you know, I think people should just listen to the music they like. And you know.
Straight edge serves a purpose. It gives people a sense of pride where they may not have it coming from anywhere else. So in that way, it's good, but I didn't really ask about straight edge.
Before it takes their lives, it takes their minds, it takes their pride, and it takes their honor. The song is against alcoholism. It's called The Situation Degenerates.
The number one reason that Carl's singing and that I'm singing in Ignite is to pass my message across and his message. And if he can get on Ozzy's label and get on huge shows and pass veganism and straight edge to these people on MTV, because he's not going to make a video of MTV like masturbating with his guitars like, you know, Winger would or something like that. You know what I'm saying? He's going to make a video that's going to teach people things in the Midwest when they're watching, you know? He's going to go on these big tours and maybe teach some people about straight edge and veganism. So all power to them. I hope they get signed to the biggest label so they can keep pushing it.
When we first started going to hardcore shows, it was like every Sunday at CBGB's, and it was like you couldn't miss it because you didn't want to miss what was going on, and it was like the only thing we lived for. Like going to school sucked, and living at home really sucked, and working a shit job, but then you got to go to the hardcore matinee, and it was the best thing in the world. And still now, playing shows is the greatest thing. Like that's why we came out today, because we knew it was going to be a fun show to like play at the, you know,
Like
the
I said,
house in the basement.
Still going to shows. It's like a social thing. We see all of our friends and stuff. I was attracted because it was very open. You didn't have to look a certain way or anything, and for the fact that it wasn't pretentious. Like we used to go to shows when we were young. We'd go to like see like Black Sabbath, and you were in the audience in a chair, and there was this untouchable band, you know. And then we go to a hardcore show. You're talking to some kid. He goes, "Oh, I got to go play now," and it was just that was it for me. It was just like, yeah, you're there. You can just everybody played, and it was just a good mutual time, you know.
You know, it's such a close-knit, at least back then, it was such a family thing in Boston.
Yeah, punk rock and hardcore is the first accessible music you get into. You know what I mean? I mean, the kids are right there. They're the same age, a little older than you. And, you know, they're not, like, in backstage or hanging out with these, like, little rock chicks or nothing. They're talking to you. And that blows your mind. I mean, before they've been all these, like, big rock bands and shit, you know? And all of a sudden, here's this band that you buy their albums, you worship, and then there they are talking to you, hanging out with you. You know what I mean? And then your friends, that's just, you know, you can't beat that. And that's just, when you see them doing, that's what makes you think that you can do it. And that's how we started, you know, being in bands since we were teenagers. So I think it's more of a values thing. I think it's more of like something you get into when you need something else in your life. Something's missing for some reason. And you have, maybe you're not satisfied with everything else people go through, whether it's, you know, when we were kids, but now the kids like the Hootie and the Blowfish or whatever, that whole kind of vibe that doesn't really get you fucking going, you know what I mean? Or the whole like metal thing is just too...
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons, far-fetched. You know, hardcore is more reality-based. It's something you have, and it's a family. You know, it's the first place you can go where everyone just accepts you for what you're into, hopefully.
Totally.
You know?
It used to be that
for
way.
some part, you know, it depends on the scenes. And we used to complain about it before, you know, complain about it now. It's still really closed-minded and really cliquey. But we all used to say that 10 years ago, too.
When I got into it, is you could be who you wanted to be, and like everyone was accepted. It wasn't like you had to be too cool, or you're cool enough to be with the jocks, or cool enough to be with whoever. You know what I mean? It's like everyone was supposed to be accepted.
Now it seems like it's just any band that wants to do well and get shows and play in that scene just says, "Oh yeah, we're a punk band."
It's expensive to be a punk rocker now, isn't it? We used to go in your dad's closet and get his old blue-collar work shirts, and but now you got to have like the big baggy $100 skateboard pants and all that. Backpacks full of stuffed animals, all that shit.
It's not what I remember from when I was very young, but the people who, you know, were the movers and shakers when I was young had that opinion too. You know, they talked about the old days when it was my first day, you know, in the scene. But I think that all people of our age are the last generation of kids who like are involved in this, who are going to have any recollection of really the beginning of the whole affair. I think that from this generation on, people's motivation for being involved in it and people's recollection of the history of it is going to be different.
What you got to understand is, me personally cannot do anything else but what I'm doing. Okay? I went to school, I dropped out, went on tour. Me physically, I can bartend. Otherwise, this is the only thing that I know how to do. So I take it more personal than marriage. So I take it really personal on stage. That's my thing. That's my job. Literally, I can't do anything else.
I had a thought the other day that if somebody in this band called me and said, I don't want to do it anymore, I want to quit, whatever, this huge part of my life would just be gone, and just the whole experience of touring and playing shows and being a part of a scene that I used to go see shows, and now being on the other side of it, it's so much more than just the music and showing up and playing and whatever and leaving. It's you're given a place for these kids to go and vent, get some aggression out, or feel like they fit in. It's kind of a good feeling, actually.
Yeah, I've invested every ounce of energy I have into doing my band since I was 18 years old, and I'm 26 now. So hardcore is all I know. It's all I want to do.